Welcome back. Today we're diving into this explainer to unpack something absolutely wild. We're looking at how a cagey, tightly contested World Cup semifinal somehow turned into a stunning, just heart-wrenching defensive collapse for England against Argentina. We're going to break down the anatomy of this 2026 match from a purely tactical perspective, looking at the exact split-second decisions on the pitch that totally flipped the momentum of the tournament. So the big question we have to ask ourselves is, how exactly did a tactical masterclass turn into a 90-second minute nightmare? How does a team just hand the keys to victory over to one of the greatest playmakers in history? Because honestly, for most of this match, England's heavily structured defensive setup was working perfectly. But, in knockout football, the margin between a masterclass and a total nightmare, it's incredibly thin. Let's look at how it all fell apart. Section 1. The cagey tactical deadlock. Right, so for the first hour of this game, it was completely deadlocked, 0-0. Just look at how condensed the actual defining moments of this game are. For 55 minutes, it's this tense, cagey chess match. Then, boom, Anthony Gordon scores. But what happens next is the ultimate pivot point. Instead of keeping that attacking rhythm going, England initiates this massive tactical shift right after the goal, basically opening the back door for an 85th-minute equalizer and an absolutely devastating 92nd-minute winner. And the source material points directly to the core issue here. Tactical caution totally replaced attacking ambition. After taking the lead, instead of, going for the jugular and pushing for that second goal to really put Argentina on the ropes, manager Thomas Tuchel inexplicably hit the brakes. He shifted the team into extreme tactical caution. And think about it. When you have a squad packed with attacking talent that can stretch the pitch, suddenly slamming on the brakes with 35 minutes left, that fundamentally messes with the psychology of the game. You literally stop playing to win, and you start playing not to lose. That brings us to Section 2, England's fatal defensive retreat. So, the mechanical breakdown of England's tactics wasn't just a shift in mindset, it was a complete structural dismantle. Tuchel initiated this sort of cascading failure in 3 distinct steps. First, he withdrew the team into a deep mid-block, which naturally just hands over the middle of the park. Second, he switched to a super rigid back 5 defensive shell, basically sending out an open invitation for Argentina to just surround the penalty area. And third, actually, this is probably the most critical step. He subbed off Declan Rice and Reece James. These are the exact guys you need to relieve pressure, carry the ball out of danger, and hold on to possession in the final third. By swapping them out for purely defensive reinforcements, England essentially amputated their own ability to counterattack. And the crucial takeaway here is the direct contrast in mentalities between the two sides. On one hand, England prioritized sheer survival. They retreated, and as a direct result, they totally lost control in the final third. On the other hand, Argentina? They didn't panic at all. Despite trailing late in a World Cup semifinal, they maintained immense tactical patience and what the source perfectly describes as champion courage. They saw that England had just voluntarily handed them the initiative, and they took it. Section 3, the Argentine siege. So naturally, this defensive retreat built into a relentless, high-volume siege. By sitting so deep and just packing the box, England invited this constant, suffocating pressure. Argentina exploited all that surrendered space by completely dominating possession. They virtually set up camp in the English half. Specifically, they funneled their attacks down the right flank to create an overload. And they didn't just blindly launch the ball into the mixer. No, they systematically tested the English structure with this barrage of precise crosses and really calculated cutbacks, just waiting for that inevitable crack in the wall. It was during this grueling, high-pressure siege that Argentina really displayed that champion courage we talked about. That phrase from the text is just so spot on. I mean, it is so easy to abandon your game plan and just start hoofing long balls when the clock is ticking down in a semifinal. But champion courage means staying patient. It means trusting your system and systematically dismantling the opponent's bunker, even when you're running out of time. Which leads us to Section 4, the Messi masterpiece. Now we get to the actual execution of the comeback, orchestrated by a captain who had honestly been pretty limited for the first 84 minutes. In the 85th minute, the English dam finally broke. And it wasn't chaotic luck, guys, it was pure design. Lionel Messi's unparalleled vision was the absolute difference maker here. Instead of a predictable looping cross into a crowded penalty box full of towering English defenders, Messi orchestrated this brilliant, sneaky short corner routine. It caught the static defense completely napping, shifted the angle, and created just enough space for Enzo Fernández to unleash a blistering strike right into the back of the net. In an instant, the momentum violently swung. And then came the stoppage time dagger, minute 92. The sequence starts with Alexis McAllister crashing a header off the post. The English defense is scrambling. They are completely disorganized by the sustained pressure. In all that ensuing chaos, the ball finds its way back to Messi. With all the time and space England had willingly surrendered, Messi delivers this pinpoint, devastating far post cross to Lautaro Martínez, who makes absolutely zero mistake and heads home the winner. That final sequence, nothing short of a Messi masterpiece. It perfectly highlights the fatal flaw in the English strategy. When you drop into a defensive shell and invite pressure, you aren't just inviting pressure from your average players. In this case, you are literally giving time, space, and possession to Lionel Messi. He manipulated the angles, he controlled the tempo, and he ruthlessly capitalized on the exact tactical environment England had built for him. Ultimately, this explainer teaches us a really harsh but invaluable lesson about tactical overcorrection in knockout football. It's the act of trading your attacking ambition for a purely defensive setup, which ironically ends up surrendering the entire initiative of the game to elite playmakers. England didn't just try to defend a lead. They overcorrected so severely that they basically removed their own teeth, leaving themselves completely defenseless against a sustained elite-level attack. So I'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. Can survival tactics, just packing the box and praying the clock runs out, can that ever truly work against a footballing genius like Lionel Messi? This match really suggests that when you invite a mastermind into your house and hand him the keys, well, you really shouldn't be surprised when he completely rearranges the furniture. Thank you so much for joining me for this tactical deep dive. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I will catch you next time.